Today we are doing lesson 4.4, solving two-step inequalities. This is the second day of this particular lesson. Our I can statements are I can solve and graph two-step inequalities, and I can solve real-life problems involving inequalities. All right, so we're just going to start by practicing some more two-step inequalities. So remember, two-step inequalities can be solved same way that you do for two-step equations. You first undo addition or subtraction, and then you undo multiplication or division. And remember, we have to reverse that inequality symbol if we multiply or divide by a negative number. All right, so here it says complete the steps to solve the inequality and then graph the solution set. So negative 3x plus 35 is greater than negative 10. So I'm looking at the side of the inequality that has the variable, and I'm getting rid of the things on that same side by doing the inverse operation. So this is a plus 35. We cancel it out by subtracting 35 from both sides. So here 35 minus 35 equals 0. So we're left with that negative 3x. Our inequality sign always stays the same for the addition and subtraction step. That's never going to change the sign. Over here, I'm going to do boom, change to addition, boom, change the sign. Negative 10 plus negative 35 is negative 45. Now I have to get rid of multiplication or division. Negative 3x means negative 3 times x. So we are going to divide by a negative 3. We have to cancel out the times, the 3 and the negative, both parts. So we're going to take negative 45. We're going to divide by negative 3, and because we're dividing by a negative, that inequality sign flips over. Instead of being a greater than sign, now it's going to be a less than. Negative 45 divided by negative 3 is positive 15. X is less than positive 15. When we graph our inequality, we're going to need an open circle on the 15. That's because x cannot equal 15. And then we're going to shade our line going down to the left. Don't forget to put the arrow on the end, because solutions keep on going. They don't just stop at the end of that where that number line is. If I picked a number from the side that I shaded, say 10, 10 is less than 15. That's a true statement. That means 10 is part of a possible solution. That's why I'm shading that way. All right, let's take a look at this next one. 7x plus 32 is less than 18. All right, so this is a plus 32. We cancel out by subtracting 32. Again, we always get rid of addition and subtraction first, then we get rid of multiplication and division. 32 minus 32 is 0, so I'm left with 7x. My inequality sign is still going to stay less than. And then over here, I have different, I'm taking away more than what I have, so I'll do a boom, boom. Then I have different signs, find the difference. I need to rewrite it so that the one with the greater absolute value, which is the negative 32, goes on the top. Greater absolute value goes on the top here. Okay, 2 minus 8 takes me into the negative, so I need to borrow from my 3. That'll become a 2. This will become a 12. 12 minus 8 is 4. 2 minus 1 is 4. So if 7x is less than 14. It's actually going to be a negative 14 because I was taking away more than what I started with, or I have more negatives than positives. Now I'm going to divide both sides by a positive 7. It doesn't matter that this 14 is negative. What I'm doing to both sides is dividing by a positive number. So that's going to stay a less than sign. So 7 divided by 7 is 1, leaves me with x. Still going to be a less than because I divided by a positive. Negative 14 divided by 7 is negative 2. So my solution on this one is x is less than negative 2. Open circle in the negative 2 because it can't equal negative 2. And then I'm shading to the left because these are numbers that are less than negative 2. They're farther away from 0 than negative 2. If you're comparing two negatives, the one that's farther away from 0 is the lower value. If I put in negative 3 for my solution, that would work. Negative 3 is less than negative 2. All right, let's try number 3 together. T divided by 4 minus 8 is less than or equal to negative 5. So we're going to start by getting rid of our minus 8. We always get rid of subtraction and addition first. Minus 8 or negative 8 plus 8 is 0, so I'm left with t divided by 4. is less than or equal to, and then over here, different signs, find the difference. -5 plus 8 is +3. Then I'm going to multiply my 4, because multiplication and division are inverse operations. 4 divided by 4 is 1, so I'm left with t. I multiply by a positive number on both sides, so it's going to stay a less than or equal to. And then 3 times 4 is 12. So my solution here is t is less than or equal to 12. All right, so I have an open, oh, actually, no, I have a closed circle on 12, because this extra line tells me it could equal 12. 12 is part of my solution set. And then it's less than, so we're graphing to the left, or shading to the left. Any one of those numbers I could put in for t and it would be true. So if I pick -10, this is a +10. If I pick +10 is less than or equal to 12. All right, and then for number 4, I have 6f minus 6 is greater than 48. So I'm going to add 6. Because it's -6, I have to cancel it out. All right, so I have 6f is greater than, let's see, 8 plus 4, 8 plus 6 is 14. 1 plus 4 is 5. So I have 6f is greater than 54. All right, so now I'm going to divide both sides by 6. F is greater than 9. All right, so greater than, I'm going to be shading to the right, open circle, it cannot equal 9. My inequality sign stayed the same. Don't forget your arrow when you're shading here. My inequality stayed the same because I only divided by a positive number. All right, here are 3 more for you to try on your own. Go ahead and pause the video and try these 3 on your own. Okay, so let's go ahead and check these. So -4w minus 13 is greater than or equal to 15. So we're going to start by adding 13. -13 plus 13 is 0. I'm left with -4w is greater than or equal to 5 plus 3 is 8. 1 plus 1 is 2. Okay, so now I have -4w is greater than or equal to 28. I'm going to divide both sides by -4. Because I'm dividing by a negative, that inequality sign is going to flip. So it was greater than or equal to, now it's going to be less than or equal to. 28 divided by -4 is -7. So w is less than or equal to -7. All right, so I'm going to close circle here on -7. It can equal -7. And then shaded to the left, that's where my less than numbers are. Remember, if your variable is coming first, that inequality sign is pointing towards the way that we're shading. But of course, that trick only works if your variable is coming first. All right, number 6, k divided by -5 minus 6 is less than 9, -9. All right, we're going to start by adding 6 to get rid of the -6. I have k, I wrote x, k divided by -5 is less than, over here I have different signs, I'm going to find the difference. -9 plus 6 is -3. Now I'm going to multiply both sides by -5. -5 divided by -5, that's positive k. My inequality sign is going to flip because I'm multiplying on both sides by a negative number. So now I've got to flip that inequality sign. It was a less than, now it's a greater than. -3 times -5 is going to be a positive 15. So my solution here is k is greater than 15. Open circle on the 15. It cannot equal 15. Shaded to the right. All right, let's take a look at number 7. 7 minus 2p is greater than -5. Okay, since I have a minus sign or a subtraction sign in front of where my variable is, I'm going to go ahead and start this one with a boom boom. That minus sign is really like a negative. It goes with that 2p. The 7 is a positive, so even though there was a subtraction sign originally in the problem, I still need to subtract the 7 because this is a positive 7. That subtraction sign goes with the 2p part. Okay, 7 minus 7 is going to be 0. Negative 5 minus 7, boom, boom, becomes negative 5 plus negative 7, which is negative 12. So now I have negative 2p, don't forget about that negative, is greater than negative 12. All right, now I need to divide. I have a negative 2 in front of my p, so I'm going to divide by negative 2. When I do that, my inequality sign is going to change. So instead of greater than, now it's going to be less than. Negative 12 divided by negative 2 is positive 6. My inequality sign flipped because I divided on both sides by a negative. I've got an open circle here, and then it is p is less than 6, less than to the left. All right, here are 3 more to try. Go ahead and pause the video and try these on your own. Okay, let's check our answers. So for this one, again, I have a subtraction sign in front of where my variable is, so I'm going to go ahead and just do a boom, boom, make that subtraction sign plus negative. That subtraction sign is like a negative. It goes with that coefficient of 3. It does not impact the 5. The 5 came first. This is a positive 5. I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. 5 minus 5 is 0. It leaves me with negative 3x is greater than 8 minus 5 is 3. Now I'm going to divide by the negative 3 in front of the x. When I divide by that negative 3, my inequality sign needs to flip, so it's going to become a less than. 3 divided by negative 3 is a 1. Excuse me. So I have x is less than negative 1. So that is my solution. Now I need to graph it. Remember, when you're setting up your own number lines, you need at least one number that is less than your answer, and at least one that's greater than. They need to be equally spaced apart in terms of value. So here I'm going up by 1s. Negative 2, negative 1, 0. Open circle on the negative 1. It cannot equal negative 1. And then it's going to be shaded to the left. If I took my number negative 2 and put it back in, that would be true. Negative 2 is less than negative 1. All right, let's look at number 2. Negative 4x minus 7 is less than or equal to 9. This is a minus. I'm going to add 7 to both sides. You can do a boom boom to start this one to make it a plus negative 7. Same thing, you're still going to add a positive 7 to both sides to cancel out that negative 7. Negative 4x is less than or equal to, and then 9 plus 7 is 16. So now I need to divide. Here I have a negative 4 I'm dividing by, which means my inequality sign is going to flip. X is greater than or equal to negative 4. 16 divided by negative 4 is negative 4. Remember, with multiplication and division, same sign, positive, different signs, negative. That one had different signs, so our solution is negative. Negative 5, negative 4, negative 3. The numbers are in the opposite order that they would be if they were positive numbers. It can equal negative 4 because it says or equal to, so I need a closed circle here, and then I am shading to the right. If I took negative 3 and put it in, that would be true. Negative 3 is greater than or equal to negative 4. It's closer to 0. All right, number 3, 3 plus 4.5x is greater than or equal to 21. We're going to start by subtracting 3. We get 4.5x is greater than or equal to, and then 21 minus 3, that's going to give us 18. So now we're going to divide both sides by 4.5. It's a positive number, so that means our inequality sign is going to stay the same. 4.5 divided by 4.5 is 1. So I have x is greater than or equal to. And then over here to do 18 divided by 4.5, when I have a decimal that I'm dividing by, I've got to move that decimal over to make it an integer. Here on the 18, I've got to add it over there. And then you might have to do some guess and check about how many times 45 goes into 180. It is going to be 4, I believe. I guess I should double check just to make sure. 45 times 4 5 times 4 is 20. 4 times 4 is 16 plus 2 is 18. Yeah, 4 times is 180. So x is greater than or equal to 4. My inequality sign stayed the same because I divided by a positive number on both sides. 3, 4, 5 on my number line. Closed circle on the 4 could equal 4. And then shaded to the right. That's because x needs to be greater than 4. If I put in 5 and put it in for x, that would be true. 5 is greater than or equal to 4. All right, let's do these ones together. We've got some fractions in here, some parentheses. We haven't looked at ones quite like this yet today. All right, number 4. First step is going to be getting rid of that minus 5, and we're going to do it by adding a positive 5. Okay, negative 5 plus positive 5 is 0, so I have negative 2y is greater than. And then here, 5 halves plus 5. I've got a couple ways I can do it. One is to change 5 halves into 2.5 and then add the whole numbers. Or I can change my 5 over 1 into, or 5 into 5 over 1, find a common denominator and add them. I'm going to go ahead and do that with the improper fractions because I know when I get to the step of division, I'm going to have an improper fraction anyway. All right, so I'm going to make my 5 into a 5 over 1, and I'm going to multiply by 2 over 2 to make it a common denominator. So now I have 5 halves plus 10 halves. So really I have negative 2y is greater than 15 halves. I'm going to leave it as an improper fraction because the next step I need to do is divide by negative 2. I'm going to write the divided by negative 2 over here, and I'm going to make it 2 over 1 because, again, I've got fraction division. Negative 2y divided by negative 2 equals positive 1y. Our inequality sign flips because I'm dividing by a negative number. Over here for my fraction division, I'm going to keep change flip. So 15 halves times negative 1 over 2. Nothing to cross cancel on this one. 15 times negative 1 is negative 15. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 goes into 15 3 times, with 3 as a remainder. So I have negative 3 and 3/4. So y is less than negative 3 and 3/4. It does say to graph. All right, let's see. The middle of our number line would be negative 3 and 3/4. I'm going to go by fourths. So 1/4 less would be negative 4, and 1/4 more would be negative 3 and 2/4, which would be like negative 3 and 1/2. I'm going to have an open circle here because it can't equal negative 3 and 3/4. And then I'm shading to the left because y is less than negative 3 and 3/4. All right, let's take a look at number 5. So for number 5, I have parentheses here. That means my first step I'm going to do is distributive property. 2 times y is 2y, minus 2 times 4 is 8, is less than negative 18. All right, so we're going to add 8 to both sides. Negative 8 plus 8 is 0. It leaves me with 2y is less than, and then negative 8 plus positive 8, different signs, find the difference. That's going to equal negative 10. I'm multiplying 2 times y, so now I'm going to divide by 2. Y is less than negative 5. Negative 6, negative 5, negative 4. Okay, I'm going to have an open circle here. I am going to shade over here to the left. Negative 6 would be less than negative 5. All right, let's try number 6. So again, we're going to do distributive property first. Negative 6 is greater than or equal to negative 6 times y is negative 6y. If I do a boom, boom here, that's a negative 3. Negative 6 times negative 3 is positive 18. To cancel out the positive 18, I'm going to subtract 18. 18 minus 18 is 0. Still going to have the greater than or equal to 6y. For here, boom, change to addition, boom, change to sign. That's going to be negative 6 plus negative 18. 6 plus 8 is 14. Carry our 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. Only adding negatives, so my answer is going to be negative. Okay, now I need to divide by negative 6 to get rid of that coefficient. Negative 6 divided by negative 6 is positive 1y. I divided by a negative on both sides, so my inequality is going to flip. It's going to be greater than or equal to. And then negative 24 divided by negative 6 is going to be 4. So 4 is less than or equal to y. And if you prefer to have the variable come first for your graphing, you can flip the entire thing over if you want to. Y is greater than or equal to 4. You just have to make sure the thing that is greater in the first inequality is still greater in the second inequality. When you flip the sides here, you have to flip the sign too. Our alligator is eating the bigger number, which is the y. So alligator's mouth open towards the y. When we flip-flopped it, alligator's mouth still open towards the y. So either 4 is less than or equal to y, or y is greater than or equal to 4. Okay, 3, 4, 5. Closed circle on the 4 can equal 4. We're going to shade to the right. If we picked the number 5, that would be true for either inequality. 4 is less than or equal to 5, or 5 is greater than or equal to 4. All right, we're going to look at some story problems here. So for this one, it says you borrow $200 from a friend to help pay for a new laptop computer. You pay your friend back $12 per week. Write and solve an inequality to find when you will owe your friend less than $60. Okay, so we need to borrow $200. We want to know we're going to pay back $12 every week. We want to know when we owe our friend less than $60. Okay, so let's start with our inequality symbol here. It tells us it's going to be less than $60. Okay, so we're going to do less than 60. All right, we're borrowing $200 and every week we're giving $12 back to our friend. So we start with $200 and then every week we're going to subtract 12 from that to give it back to our friend. And then it's going to be less than $60. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and solve it. I'm going to do a boom boom here. Make that a negative 12x. All right, so I'm going to start by subtracting 200 from both sides. All right, 200 minus 200 is 0, so I'm left with negative 12x is less than. Over here, I'm going to rearrange it. If I do a boom boom, that's a negative 200 and a positive 60. And negative 200 has a greater absolute value, so that has to go on the top. All right, 0 minus 0 is 0. 0 minus 6 takes me into the negative, so I'm going to borrow from the 2, make that a 1, make this a 10. 10 minus 6 is 4, and I bring down my 1, 140. More negatives, the answer is negative, so I have negative 12x is less than negative 140. Now I'm going to divide by that negative 12. All right, I divided by a negative, so I need to flip that inequality sign. And then negative 140 divided by negative 12, those numbers are pretty big and I don't know them off the top of my head, so I'm going to do my math over here. 12 goes into 14 once. When I subtract to get 2, I bring down a 0. 12 goes into 20 also once. 1 times 12 is 12. I subtract to get 8. Now at this point I can either do a mixed number or I can keep going and do a decimal. Generally speaking, I like to do mixed numbers because I can stop dividing. So I had 8 left over when I got to the end of my number, 8 twelfths, 11 and 8 twelfths. But since I do have a mixed number, I do need to simplify it. 8 and 12 are both divisible by 4. So my answer I'm going to put over here, 8 divided by 4 is 2, and 12 divided by 4 is 3. So x is less than or equal to 11 2/3 weeks. But if I'm only doing it once a week, it doesn't really make sense for it to be 11 2/3 because I'm only doing it once a week. So 2/3 of a week doesn't matter. I'm not paying her or him during the middle of the week. So really my answer for this one is going to be X is greater than 12 weeks. All right, let's try our next one. You are renting a moving truck for a day. There is a daily fee of $25 and a charge of 75 cents per mile. Your budget allows a maximum total cost of $65. Write and solve an inequality that represents the total number of miles you can drive the truck. Okay, my inequality here, sign is maximum $65. So maximum means less than or equal to. I can pay $65 or I can pay less than that, but my budget says I can only pay up to $65. All right, $20, I'm paying that once. I'm not paying that every time, it's just once for the day. And then 75 cents per mile, I want to know the number of miles. That's going to be my variable. I'm going to use M. So 7,500 M. All right, now that I have my inequality, I know how to solve it. I'm going to start by subtracting my 20 from both sides. All right, so I have 75 hundredths times M is less than or equal to 45. Then to get rid of the times 75 hundredths, I'm going to divide both sides by 75 hundredths. All right, dividing by a positive, so my inequality sign is going to stay the same. I have decimals here. That second number needs to be an integer, so I'm going to move my decimal 2 places over, add a decimal, move it 2 places over. I'm now doing this problem off to the side. 4,500 divided by 75. All right, so we're going to need to do a little guessing and checking. Dividing by 75 is a pretty big number. All right, 75 into 4. Nope, doesn't work. Into 45. Nope, doesn't work. 450, yes. Let's see, if this was 100, it would go in 4 times. It's less than 100 though, so maybe 5, maybe 6. I'm going to go with 5, and let's see what that gives us. So if I do... I don't know why I wrote a 4 there when I said I was going to multiply by 5. Okay, let's try that again. So let's guess. 75 times 5. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 7 is 30. 5 plus 2 is 37. So that would be 375. I think I can do another 75 in there and get to 450 exactly. Let's see. 10, 8, 15. Yeah, so actually I did times 5 and it wasn't enough. I added another 75 there and got 6. So 6 times 75 is 450 exactly. I get a 0. Got to deal with this 0 though. Bring it down. It's going to go in 0 times. All right, 60 miles is less than or equal to 60 miles. All right, let's take a look at this next one. Write and solve an inequality that represents the values for x for which the area of the rectangle will be at least 35 square feet. All right, remember area is length times width for a rectangle. That's our formula. It says at least 35. So at least means greater than or equal to. Could be 35, could be more. My length is 5. My width is x and x minus 2. So I'm going to have length 5 times width x minus 2 is greater than or equal to 35. Now that I have it set up, we're ready to solve. So let's go ahead and solve it. We're going to start by distributing that 5. 5 times x is 5x. 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. Greater than or equal to 35. We get rid of that minus 10 by adding 10 on both sides. So we have 5x is greater than or equal to 45. Then we're going to divide both sides by 5. x is greater than or equal to 9. Let's take a look at what our label needs to be. Looks like that's going to be feet. All right, let's take a look at our next problem. Kelly earns $7 for each car she washes. She always saves $25 of her weekly earnings. This week she wants to have at least $65 in spending money. At least how many cars must she wash? Write and solve an inequality for this problem. Go ahead and pause the video and try this one on your own. Okay, so let's go ahead and try this one. So here my inequality sign is going to be at least, they say at least twice here, at least 65. Remember, at least means greater than or equal to. It could be 65, it could be more. Okay, and we're looking for cars. I'm going to call that C. She has $7 for each car. But she saves. She's going to put that in the bank, which means she's taking it away from the money that she actually has in her hands. It's good to save that and put it in the bank. But in terms of the money that she actually has in her hands, she's taking that away because she's saving it. She's putting it somewhere else. All right, so 7 times the number of cars minus the $25 she's putting in the bank, and then she needs to have greater than or equal to 65. We're going to get rid of that 25 by adding 25. So I have 7. C is greater than or equal to 5 plus 5 is 10. 1 plus 6 is 7 plus 2 is 9. Now I need to divide both sides by 7. All right, my inequality sign is going to stay the same because I'm dividing by a positive number. Let's do that calculation over to the side. 7 goes into 9 once. Have 2 left over. 7 goes into 20 twice. 20 minus 14 is 6. Now I could keep dividing, or I can do a mixed number. Again, I like to do a mixed number just because then I can stop. All right, 12 and 6/7. 12 and 6/7. However, I can't do 6/7 of a car. That's not enough. So I need to do at least 13 cars. Don't forget your label. All right, last one. Marco has saved $400 to spend on a video game player and games. The player he wants costs $274. The games each cost $39. At most, how many games can he buy along with the player? Write and solve an inequality for this problem. Go ahead and pause the video and try this on your own. All right. Our inequality symbol, the words here, at most, that means less than or equal to. He's saved $400. He cannot spend more money than that. All right, so $274 for that player. Then there are $39 for each game. I'm going to go ahead and use G for games because that's what I'm looking for. How many games? Okay, so the $274 for the game system and $39 for each game, and then altogether it needs to either equal $400 or be less than $400. We're going to get rid of the addition first by subtracting. All right, so we're left with 39G. We are going to do less than or equal to. We need to subtract over here. 0 minus 4 takes me to the negatives. I can't borrow from the 0, so I'm going to borrow from 40. When I borrow 1 from 40, I get 39. All right, now I'm ready to subtract. 10 minus 4 is 6. 9 minus 7 is 2. 3 minus 2 is 1. So I have 39 times games is less than or equal to 126. All right, so let's go ahead and divide. We're dividing by positive, so I'm still going to have less than or equal to. All right, I don't know how much this is exactly, so I'm going to estimate a little bit in my head. If I made this 120 and I was dividing by 40, that would go in 3 times, so I think it's going to be about 3 with a little left over. But we are going to go ahead and calculate it and see how much it actually is going to be. All right, so I'm pretty sure it's 3, but I don't know 3 times 39 off the top of my head, so I'm going to go ahead and calculate that. 9 times 3 is 27. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 2 is 11. Okay, so this is 11, 117. All right, need to borrow. That 2 will be a 1, and the 6 will be a 16. 16 minus 7 is 9. 1 minus 1 is 0. 1 minus 1 is 0. I've reached the end of my number. I'm going to do a mixed number, 9 39ths. So G is less than 3 and 9 39ths. I can't buy 9 39ths of a game. So my number of games, this one we need to round down because I can't buy more than this amount. 3 games.